Hello, welcome to a bonus edition of Wellbeing Wins. I am so pleased to say I'm being joined by head of football and head of everything else at Leighton Park, Callum and Zoe. Callum, Zoe, how are you doing?
Good, thank you, Jez.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me in your lovely stash that you've got. Well done for wearing your stash. Just to be clear, Callum, you are head of football and you have been for the whole of this academic year. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, just this year.
And Zoe manages to go on every single trip. She's current head of year 11. She's head of netball. She's been at the school for a long time. Guys, I know you've got a really busy week, and thank you so much for joining me, because the point of this webinar is really to focus in on all the amazing things you've been doing, not just this week, but across the year, really, but really honing in on the LP Girls Cam Week that I know is happening this week. You've got Cricket Week for everyone. Callum, you've been organising the fantastic Girls Football League that we're really proud to sponsor at youHQ. So Zoe, can we start off with you? Can you just tell us a bit about the LP Girls Can initiative, how it started and how it came about?
Sure. So this is actually our 7th year running it, which is fantastic. It all stems off the campaign This Girl Can, and it's really to promote girls to go further in sport. There's such a dropout at 16, which is such a shame to see girls not continue with sport. And this is the aim of this week, to inspire them to try new sports, also to maybe have some OLs that come back, so our old Leightonians, they return students and they come and actually deliver sessions of different sports that they may have learnt at university, which was quite interesting. And also we have guest speakers that come in and speak about their sports and their journey in sport as a female, and how much impact that's had maybe through and on their lives. And it's really interesting actually to see how many students get involved and try a new sport this week. And it's really just to promote them to continue and actually have a well-being, which we want to try and promote more.
And whilst This Girl Can is obviously a countrywide initiative, this was your idea, you just came up with it and thought, well, let's get hold of this, let's make it something specific to the school and specific to the girls at the school.
No, definitely. So when we started it at the time, I wouldn't say girls' sport was as up and coming at Leighton Park, and it was something for us to try some different sports which we didn't used to do here. So for example, football, which has really taken off this year, rugby. So some of the sports that the girls may not have had as much access to, and that's where it stemmed from. And we got the chance to try some different sports. Every year we try and open it out and bring in a new sport. This year we're doing archery, so it's something a little bit different. And over the years we've had climbing, we've had judo, we've had a range of sports for everyone to try.
Amazing. And amazing it's been going for 7 years as well. And I imagine it's going to be one of those things that you'll look back and look at all the different sports and the number of girls that have taken part. It's fantastic. There's some you're focusing on sort of key areas, aren't you? I know that you're really trying to hone it in. So it's not just about elite sport or girls that are playing for the school. It's about all these different things. Can you tell us a little bit more about those key areas that you're looking at?
So one of the key points obviously is making sure everyone's well-being and health is at the centre point really for the week. Like I said, the dropout at 16 is just massive for girls, and that's something we really want to hone in on and actually build that teamwork and that camaraderie to take the girls further and continue it onto if they go into college, university, or later on in life and continue playing sport and be part of a team. So there's some of the key points. Obviously, as well, inspiring the students to think, maybe I'll come back one day and lead a session in LP Girls Cam Week. Also having, we've had Olympians and GB athletes come in, and this week we've got a Commonwealth athlete coming in Friday to tell their story, their journey in sport. So yeah, they're the sort of key areas we're really focusing on this year.
Who's the athlete coming in on Friday?
We've got Pippa Wolven, who does athletics, and she's coming in to explain a bit more about her journey and how the sport really was impactful on her health. And then she's come out the other side and how she's grown and learned all these lessons. She's going to explain to the students a little bit more about that side, which is really quite interesting.
So amazing, and amazing Sophie in the background scrolling the Leighton Park Sport Twitter feed or X feed, whatever you call it these days, so you can keep an eye on all the different sports opportunities. And it's so good to hear all the different focuses that you've got. And the LP Girls Can initiative sounds like to me that it gives students an opportunity to play sports they might not normally play, but also I love that idea that you've got former Leighton Park students, old Laytonians coming in, and you've got top athletes coming in. So both in those different ways, they're inspiring the students because they're students that were at the same school, which I think is really important for the girls to connect in that way. But then also for those that do aspire to play sport at a high level, you've got that side. So really you're covering all these different bases, aren't you, in different ways, which is brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. No, it will be, and has been for 7 years, inspiring to so many. And it's lovely to hear back the feedback from the OLs, and that's the reason they were inspired from previous students leading those sessions. But they've got off to sports universities like Loughborough, Bath, and they've come back and actually delivered the sessions and thought, oh, I'd like to do that next year. So yesterday we had Anna and Tiger in from Loughborough and Oxford Brookes, and they delivered a netball session to the students. So
amazing.
yeah.
I love it how you're still continuing to plug Loughborough above any other university. I will just caveat that by saying there are other universities available. Exeter University, for example, is also a fantastic university.
You might mention Exeter, yes.
I think we've heard quite enough from Zoe for now. No, Zoe, I wanted to ask you one more question before we speak to Callum, because he's sitting there being very patient, waiting to be spoken to. What's the biggest impact you've seen? I know that's really hard, but you've been doing this, like you say, this is the 7th year. So you've got real experience now. You're not just a young teacher anymore. You're an experienced old hat with this sort of stuff. Like looking back across the different years, and I know you've only just started this week, where do you see the biggest impact? Like, can you think of, not an individual case necessarily, but what do you see as a teacher running these things when you look back and reflect on the 7 years?
It's actually really lovely to hear from the students and gain their feedback, because over the years I've seen so many students get into new sports and then continue them just from trying it as a one-off in this week, which is really impactful to see. And they may not have had the chance to do that if we weren't running this week, and giving them those opportunities for coaches to come in and deliver sessions and sports that we don't necessarily always run here. So that's something that's really, really impactful. I think also, like I mentioned about the OLs coming back, and hearing the students talk about, we actually want to make a difference and inspire the next several years of Leighton Park to actually come back and continue this campaign.
It's amazing to hear that you've got former students that are coming back in to deliver the sessions, and you've got a really beautiful positive cycle then, haven't you, going around? Well done, Zoe. That's a great initiative. Callum, let's talk about the Girls Football League this year. So I suppose even though it's not technically part of LP Girls Can, it's part of a wider initiative at the school to try and get more girls active, physically active. Tell us a little bit more about the idea behind the Girls Football League that you set up.
Yeah, so at the start of the year, when I came in to have a look at sort of all of the football, girls football wasn't really a thing. I think we had one after school club. I think that was about it. So it was about sort of trying to figure out the right time of the year where we could implement a girls football season. Because obviously with all of the news, the Lionesses doing so well, the amount of girls that are taking part in football now has skyrocketed over the last 7 years. So I think it's actually doubled the amount of people doing girls football in the last 7 years. So for us, it was just about finding a time where we could fit in girls football season, because as you know, the sports seasons are back to back and it's quite intense. So we found the season which has been summer, and then obviously I reached out to yourself about sponsoring the league, and so far it has been really, really good. I think we've had over 57 fixtures so far between all of the teams, which has had over 200 girls participating in this league as well, which is a great achievement.
That's so brilliant, and we've got to give a shout out to Socks for how easy it is these days just to create a website and the admin and everything else, because I think that's often half the battle, isn't it? Is trying to get all the admin and the scores and everything in. So well done for getting that going, Callum. So how you've said a little bit about the number of girls that got involved. How's the league gone? What have you seen from a head of football point of view in terms of the girls that have been playing at Leighton Park, and even beyond that, the girls that have been playing from the other schools in the area?
Yeah, so I thought football would be a popular choice, but not as popular as what it actually turned out to be. I think we had 80% of our year 7 and 8 girls decided to take football as an option this term. So we actually entered 2 teams into the leagues, but we could probably have entered around 4 teams, which is crazy and a number we wasn't really expecting. So going forwards, we can look to make the leagues even bigger and even have 2 different leagues for 2 different age groups, which I think the plan is for the future. But I think the best thing about it was when we were going to away fixtures, we were seeing obviously the fixture happening, but also the other girls from other schools also playing football as part of their games afternoons as well, which for us was quite refreshing to see that girls football has finally got its place in the season, in the school year. And now we can finally look to take that forward year on year.
Is it going to be a summer term thing, girls football? And how is that difficult that it clashes with something like cricket, for example?
Yeah, it's been hard to come up with a season. I think it will stick in the summer season for now, for the coming years. I think it's just about working with other sports as well to come up with a plan where if girls want to do a little bit of both sports, then we're giving them the opportunity to do so. So I think there's more plans to be done for next year, and we've been able to see what's gone well this year and what we can look to improve on the next.
Well done, Callum. It sounds brilliant. Can you finish by just telling us a little bit more about the collaboration with HerGameToo and how that came about?
Yeah, so I was actually watching a women's Premier League game, and I think it was Aston Villa were warming up, and they had HerGameToo logos on the shirt. And I'd done some research into it and read through their values. And for us and what we were doing with girls football now, it sort of all came into the right category for us. So I reached out to HerGameToo, and then we were able to sort out a partnership where we're the first senior school to partnership with them. And so far, it's been really good.
Callum, thank you so much. Zoe, thank you so much. We're going to cut to a video. I was really lucky to speak to Emily at HerGameToo, one of the co-founders of the charity. So we're going to cut to a pre-recording of that. And then after that, I'm really looking forward to speaking to some of the girls about the initiatives you've been talking about.
Perfect. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much.
Emily, thank you so much for joining me. It is lovely to meet you. Can you just firstly tell people a little bit more about you and how you started HerGameToo?
Of course. Hi, I'm Emily Drakeley. I'm one of the co-founders and directors of HerGameToo. So we're an international campaign made all up of volunteers dedicated to making all sports safe for all and inclusive for all. But we mainly focus on football, cricket, ice hockey and rugby. So it's all started in 2021. The founder, Kaz, came up with this idea to have a video of sexist abuse we'd faced as our time as female fans of the men's football game. So I was one of the 12 co-founders. I held up a piece of paper that said, "You can't talk, it's a man's game." And unfortunately, these comments were things that we'd all experienced, something that happened on a regular basis. And we were all either regular attendees or season ticket holders at our men's teams as well. And we put the video out on FA Cup final day in 2021. And it went down really well. We were very nervous. But it did end up going viral, and the comments we got made us realise that actually it wasn't just us, which sounds a bit silly now because obviously it's such a massive issue. But when you're feeling so isolated in something that you really love, it's so easy to feel alone. So we decided, well, there wasn't anyone out there helping us, so why don't we help ourselves? So HerGameToo was then born out of that. Very quickly afterwards, we partnered with teams like Bristol Rovers. Everton was our first Premier League partner, countless grassroots teams. That for me is incredible because that's where we need to be focusing our efforts as a nation, really, to ensure that the education is put in place to help people understand why girls have a place in sport, whereas previously it's never really been that way. I mean, for example, the FA banned women's football for 50 years. So we're slowly making the change 50, 60 years later into getting things into a good place. So that's how HerGameToo started. I love football. I always have, ever since I was 13. I liked football on and off as a child. I used to watch England with my dad. And then when I went and played football at a soccer clinic at school, which was at the last week of school. We'd have an activities week, and I picked soccer clinic. I was the only girl to do so. I'd never kicked a ball in my life because I come from the Cotswolds. I basically come from a little bit outside of Forest Green Rovers area, and we had no girls football teams. We didn't play football at school. There was no way for me to get into it. I was very shy when it came to sport because I'm not good at sport. I can't hit a racket and the ball. I've got no hand-eye coordination. And I wanted more people to get involved in sport, and I was turned down by my school to be a sports captain. Although that's why I wanted to be a sports captain in my reasoning. So I always felt like sport was never really for me because I wasn't good at it. But I ended up, my dad really persuaded me to do it because I loved it. And by the end of the week, I was scoring goals. I wasn't good still. I think they were letting them in, but that was great. And my love for football was really lit alive then. And then the biggest story personally that I have that I faced throughout my time as an adolescent was I applied, and my friend Jade and I applied to play football in Valencia, and we were turned down. We were told we couldn't go, but all the boys were allowed to go. So my dad advocated for us very strongly and wrote a very strongly worded letter to the headmaster and to Valencia, and we eventually were able to go on this trip. Although we weren't able to play in the matches, we still had the experience of going, training. I speak a tiny bit of Spanish. I was speaking to the coaches in Spanish, and the whole immersive experience that I wouldn't have got without my dad advocating for me is something that I'll never forget.
And that is an amazing story, and it's so brilliant that you're doing something that you're so passionate about, but also that this is where, when there's a problem and it needs to be solved, people like you and your team go, no, this isn't good enough, this isn't right, and we want to make a difference. It's so inspiring. And it's the thing that comes through for me. Obviously, I'm not female, so I don't know what that's like at all. It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that difficult for you to play football, enjoy football. Thank you so much for sharing. Can you tell us a bit more about the collaboration you've started with Leighton Park and how that's working and what the plans are for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Callum reached out to me. He'd sent me an email explaining about all the amazing work that Leighton Park do. And for me, it was a bit of a inspirational moment because I thought, wow, this is exactly what we would love to see every school do. And the incredible work that Callum and his team have done at Leighton Park is something that it's really inspiring. So as soon as he emailed me and let me know everything, I said, here's my number. Let's get on a call. Let's chat. How can we support you? What can HerGameToo do to help Leighton Park? So we've just started this relationship now. And want to know how much more we can support them because the work they're doing is incredible. We have started to develop an educational pack for them as well so that they can deliver that in schools from a sexism point of view, what is and isn't sexist, where the girls can go for some support if they need it. But it's something that the amount of girls teams they've got, the amount of girls that are involved now in playing football, to me it says it's the right ethos because it's not just you can play because you're good. You can play because you want to play at Leighton Park. And that, for me, is the most important thing. As someone that's never been able to be good at sport, even no matter how hard I've tried, that's the one thing that I would always say is sport sometimes has this elite mentality, but actually sport should be fun and it should be available for everyone. So Leighton Park really encapsulate that, and they're making that available for everyone.
When you work with a school or a club, so a school like Leighton Park or any of the grassroots clubs or the top clubs that you work with, what's the go-to thing that HerGameToo do? Is it totally unique and dependent on who you're working with, or do you have kind of go-to areas that you do to support them and the girls that want to play these sports?
So it's so diverse and unique, really. For professional football clubs, for example, we hold dedicated fixtures. So that's where we have ball girls, flag bearers that are girls, just showcasing women in sport, really. We have our logo everywhere. We have supportive material and programs. Just celebrating that football is a game for all at professional clubs. We do that once a season. We also work with grassroots clubs, either to support. Sometimes there may be some advice that they need, whether that's they need sanitary products in their kit bags or anything along those lines. We're sort of the voice piece or the voice of reason if they need anything, any advice. So we're almost like an advice centre as well. But also a lot that happens is if there's ever an issue within sport, we always hear about it. And we have the connections now to be able to contact the right people and make sure something positive comes out of a situation. And I think that's really important because I think a lot of times something will happen. So our key USP, which is a horrible way of phrasing it, but something that we really are strong about is our reporting line. So on our website, we have a reporting line. So if you have an incident in Stadia or outside of Stadia, online, wherever it is, you can capture it on our reporting line. That can stay anonymous, or you can give your own personal details, and we will take it to the relevant club or the relevant authority. And we've had some really good success out of that. We've had some educational training for those that have committed quote unquote offences. And I think our key aim is educate people on what they're saying is wrong and how actually can we move forward to make sure that everything's safer and more inclusive. With schools, Leighton Park is actually our first senior school partnership. So I think we're going to work together and understand what works best, but there'll definitely be some learning experiences for myself as someone that doesn't come from a school background. And there'll definitely be some amazing collaboration work where we can teach each other and hopefully support the young girls as much as we can.
That's amazing. And they do tend to be trailblazers in a lot of ways, Leighton Park. And, you know, they were definitely that for us at youHQ. Where can people find out more? I've obviously got the website scrolling down the bottom. Where can people find out more about you, HerGameToo, social media? Where's the best place for people to go?
So the best places are our Twitter. So everything is at HerGameToo. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can find anything about HerGameToo there, and of course our website. You're also able, if you'd like to support us, you can either join our Patreon. All profits go into grassroots football, whether that's buying kits or donating in any way that we can. And we also sell merchandise. I should have worn a hoodie. That's a really, I should have worn one of the HerGameToo hoodies, but we have t-shirts and merch available as well. And me, I am just mainly on LinkedIn and Instagram. So I'm just Emily Drakeley.
Emily, thank you so much for joining me and telling us more about the amazing work you're doing with HerGameToo. I will definitely be following you and the work that you're doing, whether it's with Leighton Park or outside. It's fantastic what you do, and we'd love to kind of keep a close eye on what you're doing. And we will explore as well, and we are exploring how physical activity, sport, our big focus is mental health and well-being. That's a big part of what I used to do and what I still want to do. Sport is for all, and it doesn't matter whether you're good. I am the worst golfer in the world, but I will go out and still try and hit a golf ball, and I will get there. I just can't do it. But the idea with sport is you go out and play because it's fun. And yes, if you're good, you can play at a good level. But if you want to play, you should play, and it should be accessible for everyone. And I think that's a really big thing that comes through from you. But thank you so much for telling us more about it, and take care.
No, thank you very much.
We're back, and we are back live with some amazing Leighton Park students. So we've got 4 of you now. You're multiplying. So hello to Charlotte, Iris, and Olivia. And who else have we got? Who have we missed out?
Isabella.
Oh, Isabella, you made it. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, how are you? You okay? Charlotte, let's start with you, because full disclosure, we know each other, and you are a bit like Zoe. You're like a veteran of LP Girls sport. You've probably done every year pretty much of LP Girls Can. Can you tell us a little bit about what LP Girls Can has been for you over the last few years, and how maybe it's evolved since you first started doing it way back when you were in Friar?
Yes, I think, since I've been in year 7, it's been like a really, really great fun week for girls. I've always really enjoyed this week because you get to try like a variety of different sports. So for example, this week there's like archery and basketball and rugby, which is really great. And I've always really loved getting involved with all of them. And like there's always OLs that come back, so old Leightonians that come back to the school and help out and teach the sports. And it's just a really great week to empower women in sport and to support girls for sport.
Charlotte, what your real love is rugby still, and dance maybe? Would you say those are the two things that you love to do?
Yeah, and drama. Yeah.
Okay, and drama. So they're a great combination. So can you just tell us how something like rugby, for example, which you're still playing club rugby and you still love your rugby? How have you seen the evolution of that over the last few years? Like for me, watching women's rugby now, it's televised more. There's more exposure. Have you seen a bit of a change and a bit of a difference in that way?
Yeah, so when I was like, I think it was maybe 9 or 10, I went to see England women versus New Zealand women, and it was, the Stoop. It wasn't in Twickenham, but there was barely any people watching. And now, like when I go to the matches, it's like so amazing. Like it's really great to see how many more people are there and how the sport's growing. Like from when I played with boys in an all-boys team and I was the only girl, to now seeing all these younger girls come up doing it. It's like a really great feeling.
That's brilliant. Olivia, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Tell us a bit about, is Iris still there? Are you
No, yeah, I'm here.
Scoot in a little bit more towards Charlotte so we can actually see you. Olivia,
Yeah.
Iris, have you both been playing in the LP Girls Football League this season?
Yeah.
So Olivia, you go first. Tell us how has that been for you, having an organised league? We talked a bit to Callum about it. How's it been?
I think it's been a really great opportunity for like not only our age group, but I mean girls all across the school, because obviously football is sometimes seen as a predominantly male sport, which is definitely not the case. And by Callum creating the girls league and having actual school teams we play in matches and festivals, I think it's a really great opportunity. And it kind of empowers girls more and gives them a love of sport that they might not have tried before.
Iris, do you play football outside of school as well as in school?
Yeah, well, I used to play for an academy football team called London City Lionesses, so that was like very serious. And it's really, really nice to have that kind of being able to show off those kind of capability in sports such as rugby and football that usually girls in schools wouldn't have the chance to kind of show off.
So you've come from quite a high-performing football background based in London. So for you, has it been really great to be able to come into Leighton Park and have an organised football league for the girls this summer?
Yeah, 100%, because obviously, you know, football is more seen as kind of a boys sport, but to have like the kind of foundation that my talent and every girl's talent in football is valued and loved, and a platform to celebrate that, I find very, very nice.
Brilliant. Isabella, thank you so much for joining us. You've run across from the dance exam, haven't you?
Yeah, I literally finished and I sprinted here.
Thank you so much for sprinting over. I hope your exam went well. Am I right in saying you've been taking part in some other sports? So we've talked about the football quite a lot. Have you been to, there's a cricket festival on this week, or was that yesterday? Can you tell us a bit more about the other sports that you've been involved with this week?
Yeah, so I was part of the cricket festival yesterday. We had 3 schools here and there were 2 teams for each. And we had the chance to play 2 games. They're about an hour long. And it was really great to see all the girls there, because recently, you know, we've seen the boys cricket fixtures, but there haven't been as many girls. And in our games, cricket is very male dominated. So having a chance to be able to play cricket fixtures was a really great opportunity.
I want 2 more questions for all of you, and feel free to answer it whenever you like. Do you feel like there is a really positive shift in general, whether it's at Leighton Park or outside, for women and girls in sport? Like, where do you see it going, and what are your hopes for it maybe? Charlotte, let's start with you.
Yes. So with the rugby and also football, because I watched the women's football as well, it's just great to see how many people, boys and girls now, supporting it and cheering England on for the women's team as well as the men's team. And I just hope for rugby and all sports for women, it just keeps on growing. Lots of girls keep on joining in and believing that they can do it as well. And just the more support, the better. I just really hope it keeps going up and up and up.
Iris, is this your first year at Leighton Park, or did you join?
Oh, no, I joined last year in year 9.
So this is your second LP Girls Cam week.
Yes.
So it's still fairly new for you. So what are the key benefits for girls? We've talked a bit about the chance to play all these different sports. We as a company, youHQ really focuses on the health and well-being.
Yes.
Where do you see sport, physical activity, and these initiatives tying in with the well-being for the girls that are taking part?
Well, I mean, I would say that well-being has like a very, very important kind of core value in sort of well-being, because obviously there's loads of scientific benefit of sport and releasing endorphins and everything, but just in terms of LP Girls Can Week, even for example, I really enjoy rugby and football, and it makes me happy for there to be an actual space like this week for me to be able to do that will just automatically make my mental health better, because I do things that I enjoy. And the same goes for everyone else, obviously.
Brilliant. Liv, last couple of questions, and I'll finish with you, Isabella. There's a girls' finals day on Friday. Are you involved in that?
Yeah, I am.
You're gonna do a job for Callum here and plug it. What's going on Friday? Can you explain what's happening?
Yeah, so on Friday we've got quite a lot of schools coming with the girls team. So it's my age group, the year 8s and the year 7s, I believe. So there'll be lots of different age groups there, and it's kind of just like a big tournament. So we set up top field with loads of goals. We've got a professional women's footballer coming in to hand out the league trophies for whoever wins that and the medals. And I think it's going to be a really great opportunity for loads of girls to experience football.
Brilliant. Isabella, what are you looking forward to doing the rest of this week? Do you know what's lined up, and have you signed up for specific activities?
Yesterday I had the opportunity to do the netball with the OLs, and I know later on this week we have basketball, archery, and plenty of other opportunities. And when we have the talk on Friday with the Olympian, I think that would be really great to see her journey and her story, and maybe how we can strive to achieve things like she did.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. You spoke brilliantly. Can you please tell me that Zoe is not running the archery? Because if she is, I wouldn't go.
I don't think she is. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Please tell me there's a specialist coach coming in and it's not the P department running it, because that's just I'm just a little bit concerned. No, it can't be Callum. Callum's definitely not registered. He's not qualified. Charlotte, Iris, Isabella, Olivia, thank you so much for joining us and rounding off this webinar. I think you guys coming on at the end makes it really clear how important these things are to give girls all an opportunity to experience the breadth of these sports, but also for you guys as well that play sport at a high level, the opportunity to then go on and be inspired to play high level sport, or if it's not high level sport, just continuing being physically active outside of school. We know how important that is for not only physical health, but like Iris was just saying, for mental health and well-being. It's been an absolute privilege talking to you. Thank you to Emily Drakeley at HerGameToo, and thank you to Callum and to Zoe. Well done on everything you're doing, guys. Keep it going. And for now, big waves from everyone. See you later, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.